G'day, Clayton here. Just spoke with Dr. Carla. She's recently involved in the finance industry. Got some pretty cool insights around females and about mothers in particular. And we talk about sort of the financial planning strategies on how to sort of help people and families start thinking about these type of things earlier than they normally would. And to address this problem, she's created this app. It's called Longevity, and we go into how it feels like it can help women in general. So hopefully you enjoy. This episode is proudly sponsored by Netwealth. Launching nearly 20 years ago, this ASX-listed company is ranked number one for overall platform functionality and user satisfaction by Investment Trends for the past 3 years. As the financial advice landscape changes, it's important now more than ever to embrace new technology and enhance the way you do business. With this change comes your chance to innovate, explore new perspectives, and realize new efficiencies. Netwealth is here to support you on this journey by providing you market-leading technology, excellent customer support, and expertise to help you innovate in your business. Visit the Netwealth website to learn more and get the PDS which clients should read before making a decision. Products issued by Netwealth Investments Limited. So you've brought to market LongevityApp. Mm-hmm. Tell me, so how did you go from the agency to here?
Yeah, another giant leap.
Yeah.
Well, I think that being at the agency helped me. I guess it brought to my attention the issues around financial security or financial insecurity in retirement, and that it was particularly an issue for women.
Well, the women retire with half of what men do.
Yeah, around about half, twice as likely to live in poverty in old age as men. And this is actually one of the most ones that really hits me hard because I hear a lot of stories about this statistic, which is that the fastest growing group of homeless people in Australia are women over 50. So, and I hear some horrible stories because people come up and talk to me. Yeah, and women are living in their cars, getting up and going to work, or having It's a real crisis.
In Australia.
In Australia. Yeah, and I through my knowledge of those kinds of issues, I ended up with a very thorough understanding of the retirement system, the superannuation system, how it works, how it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And that sort of probably made me with a fairly high level of financial literacy than I otherwise would have had I not been in that role. Because I don't come from a finance background.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. But that's what sort of got me started thinking about this. And when I was, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I was doing my MBA. And the last subject, which was 2016, I finished my MBA, they put you in a room with a corporate partner who has a real-world problem that they're currently trying to fix. And they said, the problem we're trying to solve is people aren't preparing for retirement. Go fix it. And it could be anything. It could have been a policy proposal. It could have been an ad campaign. It could have been anything. It didn't have to be tech or an app. But I was like, this is my jam because I know that this is a gendered issue.
Yes.
And I know a lot about this problem.
Yes.
And I wasn't solving it for women, and I'm still not solving it just for women. LongevityApp is not just for women.
Clearly, yes.
But I knew that I could crack this, or I may have a good crack at it. And so, long story short, the end of that 3-4 week process, we ended up with what was the first prototype of Longevity. And it had such amazing resonance with the people that we tested it with the company that we proposed it to. We still have really good relationships with them, that we decided to go forth and set it up as a business. And I was on maternity leave at the time, with my second boy.
Good on you.
And I'm like, I've got some free time.
Good on you. I'm so stoked. I love those stories.
And so I sort of took on the lead.
Yeah.
Got us some initial funding. And then last year, my co-founder and I just really sort of committed to it, and I worked full time on it, developed the tech. The app's now built. It's not up on the App Store yet.
Right.
It's on test flight.
Right.
So it's up. It's pretty much ready to go. So those I keep having people come up to me and they're like going, I can't find it. They've got their phone out. They're like, I can't find it on the App Store. No, it's not there yet. Sorry, right. But it's coming soon.
Yes.
And so that's sort of how I went from gender equality into tech and fintech.
Yeah.
That's the thread.
And talk about what it is, like how you...
Yeah, the actual product. That's a very probably relevant thing to do.
Yes.
So LongevityApp is solving that retirement gap through micro transactions. So allowing you to automatically top up your superannuation account, your existing super account. We don't make you switch, or we're not setting up our own fund. Hats off to those who do. But we allow you to automatically top up your super whenever you spend. And so it could be going to Coles and spending $100 on your weekly groceries and then having $1 or 1%. We work on a percentage as opposed to a roundup. Automatically go into your super. And with the wonders of compounding, which we all know and love, you can make a significant difference at the end of your working life by, not having to make a financial sacrifice or a lifestyle sacrifice, because that's something that came through very clearly in our testing very early on. That if people in their 20s and 30s, 40s, when you actually need to start thinking about these things, if it meant that they had to sacrifice, a house deposit or a holiday or, all those sorts of things, that they're not going to do it. So we had to find a solution which would mean they could make a meaningful difference without having to make some kind of immediate lifestyle or financial sacrifice.
Yeah.
So that's what longevity enables people to do. It's a funny thing, this whole super gap, because part of me thinks, a big part of me thinks it shouldn't be about us having to, split our super, or women having to top up more of their own after-tax dollars into their super to catch up. There's a fundamental flaw in the system if that's the case. But in the meanwhile, that's going to take generations worth and decades worth of changes to our society, to the way we work, to the policy that underpins and the legislation and the frameworks. That's not going to happen anytime soon.
It's not something that longevity can solve tomorrow.
No. In the meanwhile, we can solve the super gap.
Absolutely.
And we can start looking at things like the way we save for retirement and spousal contributions and splitting and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's also important to not lose sight of the fact that there's something fundamentally broken that underpins all of that, and that's what we need to keep addressing as well.
Who do you think is in a position to help solve that? Do you think that is a legislative thing? Is that a media thing? Is that a financial planner thing? Who's in a position to be able to handle this? I
think there are touch points for everyone.
Sure.
So yes, it's definitely a legislative thing. If you think about the way that we work at the moment, between men and women, sort of like, okay, let's pretend we're going on a road trip, all right? Hop in your car. If you're a guy, you hop in the car, turn it on, pull out your driveway, get onto the freeway, you go of your working life, you get to retirement age, you pull back, you pull off the freeway, you hop into your driveway and you're done. Yes. Women, hop in your car, pull out and, get onto the highway, the freeway, on there for a couple of years, go down, pull off and you're going down into this big valley. We call it Nappy Valley. Do that for 5 years, maybe even a decade. You get back onto the freeway, but you're in the slow lane.
Yes, of course.
You get the picture. It's a very, very different journey for women.
Yes.
Yet it's on the same rails.
Yes.
Everyone's on the same system.
Yep.
And it ain't working. So there's absolutely a legislative aspect to that.
Yes.
But, and I know I'm sort of almost harping on about it a bit, the other side of it is you can't just, write a policy and expect that that's going to change everything. I
am interested to think about what can be done from a financial planning point of view. So So spouse splitting is a big thing for me. I think that's an easy no-brainer. I think one of the advantages that we're starting to see today from remote working is there's an online recruitment agency that has experienced women who, for whatever reason, couldn't make longevity like some. But of course, they probably couldn't beat their ex-boss in a marathon as well. So we can't put everyone at that standard, Carla.
Oh,
Jesus.
shucks.
But there are now recruitment agencies with women who are at home with their children who can be hired on an hourly basis.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing, I mean, I definitely have a soft spot just because of growing up with the single mum who was working, and so mum would actually take me to work sometimes when I was a kid, and seeing it didn't really make it like it was nothing when I was a kid, but then in hindsight I was like, oh wow, mum must have been just powering on through it, but it's definitely a difficulty that's largely it's largely biological because of the fact that the woman gives birth. And then there's probably, I don't know, I haven't had a child yet, a certain amount of time where it's best for the mum to look after the kid. But I have no doubt that my wife will be whipping me to stay at home as soon as humanly possible to give her a chance to get back into it. And one of the things is working from home, I think, is a huge advantage.
Yeah.
And that's just a part of the many ways that I think women, especially mums, can help out their own future is trying to stay in that workforce by going to places like this. In fact, I'm looking at hiring a marketing person from that environment as we speak.
Yeah, and I think flexible working and those kinds of things are really important. I think it's also fundamentally important that we start having that approach for men and women. So because not only does flexible working help free up your time for women, but if it can free up the time for men, then they can also then take on more of that caring responsibilities and do more of the school pickups and all that stuff, which means that the female counterpart can stay back in the office or go to that function that she needs to after work to get her career progressed at the same rate as men's do. So that kind of change in the way we work has to be applied to both genders for it to really be effective. And I think from that planning perspective, how can we actually tackle this issue from a financial planning perspective? It might be I think it's something about getting that engagement piece much earlier on in life, because you can then do small things, like what Longevity is trying to do, by putting those small contributions in frequently but early and letting the compounding do that work. So you're not having to make big financial decisions around, paying down debt versus putting money into super. You're only putting small amounts in. But if you do it a lot and you do it over a long time frame, you can actually do all of those other things that you need to do from a financial perspective.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, what are your thoughts around getting those contributions in earlier, or do you think you should actually
no. I mean, you've nailed it. I'm pretty sure I sat down and did the calculations once, and the contributions from 20 to 30 equal the contributions from 30 to, I can't remember what it is
perpetuity.
Now. Yeah, almost. There's an insane advantage to putting money in from 20 to 30.
Yeah.
I think off the top of my head, look, I might be wrong, but from 30 to 60 potentially. There's an insanely high advantage to getting that.
It's much harder to catch up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the takeaway. It's that if you can do anything from a financial advisory perspective, it's how do we get that engagement, which we've all been trying to do for a long time.
The problem before it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
So if you're a 20-year-old out there, if you're a 20-year-old female, you might not even want kids now, but you probably will when you're 30. Yeah. If you start now. Yeah. By the time you get to 30, it's going to be far less of a problem.
Yeah. And maintain those contributions or that financial strategy throughout your life. And I think financial planners can have an amazing role in helping women and men plan for their different life events. So what are you going to do financially when you are on maternity leave? How are you going? Just even thinking about that can actually help you keep that financial trajectory that you need to maintain, instead of just burying your head in the sand and forgetting about it, and then waking up, when you're 60 and thinking, oh, like shit.
Yeah. Again, Vera, she says to me the other day, by the time that I have kids, I'll have enough money saved up to last me till I go back to work again. I'm like, well, I'm sure I can probably help as well. But she's already all over it.
Yeah.
Cracks me up.
Good on her.
I know, she's a killer. She's such a killer. So when does longevity hit the market?
Soon, very, very soon. We've done our iOS build, so that's for iPhones. The Android version is also virtually done.
Wow.
And we've got just a couple of other things that we kind of want to get across the line. And I am very determined, and you know what happens to me when I get determined. I'm very determined that we will launch in the new year. Hell
yeah. Can we just check out your homepage for a second?
Which is at www.mylongevityapp.com.
Yes. Women control 80% of the purchasing decisions, yet end up with half of the retirement of savings as men. Yeah, that's so it's certainly a female-focused fintech.
Yeah, yes and no. So at the moment, I'm actually like A/B testing my website. So I've been playing around with the different sorts of messaging to see what actually gets the traction, so that we kind of that'll sort of help to inform our launch campaign and that kind of stuff. So the website isn't always so female focused,
right?
It's just it's very in keeping rather with the sort of conversations we've been having today, but it's not always like that. But we do actually have I think 65% of the people who have registered for early access when we launch are women.
Awesome.
And I think, let me think off the top of my head, I think over 60% as well are in the age range of 30s and 40s. 25% are under 30. So there's actually a really large slice of younger people, like true millennials, who are interested in the product. So this kind of assumption that younger people don't care about super, I think there is some truth to that. They've got other priorities in life, but it's certainly not entirely the case. And I think the success that we've seen of some of these younger millennial-focused super funds in this space, the spaceships and the Zupas of the world and Grow, etc., actually debunk that myth. It's not necessarily that younger people don't care about their superannuation. I think it's more that they don't have the products, tools and services that they actually want to engage with.
Do you see any pivots on your horizons?
Well, I'm not sure. Not at this point in time. I think we're pretty clear about what our true north is.
Awesome.
I think what we will see is additional product features coming in, and that's always been part of our product roadmap and our business roadmap. But what came through very clearly for us when we first started putting together our first prototypes is that the proposition of what the app does needs to be very simple. So if we start incorporating things like, short-term savings and save for a car or save for, whatever it might be, a holiday, was confusing, and adding in other insurance products or, rewards programs at that point in time, the users were like, well, are you a car app?
Yeah.
So we had to make it incredibly simple. We do one thing, and then you can, once people have gotten their head around that, you can start introducing other features and other services and offerings.
And so from an advisor's point of view, you would see this getting used as a tool for, say, the older children of clients, for example.
Yeah, that's right. And the good thing about us is we're not a super fund.
Yep.
We're not a bank. So we are very agnostic in that way and very genuinely independent. So we support existing into any top-ups into any existing fund. And it's a very easy, accessible thing for people to use.
How there's open banking? Is there open super?
Mm-mm.
No.
Not at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that ruins that idea then.
Yeah, I mean, look, it'll be interesting to see how it evolves. I mean, at the moment, open banking, I think, is really it'll be interesting to see when does that actually come into play, like July next year or something? I think technically the banks have to start getting on board with that. What that actually does in relation to super, I'm not sure. But, yeah, it would be interesting.
Yeah, it would be interesting if not only would you be able to deposit into other super funds, but even help them make investment decisions without having to swap as well. That would be potentially very interesting. Very interesting. Anyway, it's been phenomenal to have you on here. It's always interests me when I see people who come from different backgrounds that join the finance industry.
Yeah.
I think there's always a really good sort of fresh eyes approach to
I don't
things.
see a lot of that. Do you see much of the newbies coming in? Because most people I know have got a financial background who then go to do something else.
No, I don't see a lot of it. I always go back to LongeVest and I can't remember her name, but she started LongeVest and ended up selling it for, like $500 million over in the US. And she came from psychology. And I always think sometimes people in finance are so financially focused that sometimes we miss the forest for the trees. And so I'm always really interested to have these type of conversations, to see what other people that aren't from finance are talking about, that are focusing on. I'm really interested to see if it remains an initial female-focused product. We interviewed someone not long ago. Her name's Sky, and she started Spender.
I love Sky.
Yes.
She's a legend.
And though she'd sort of started with the idea of females in crypto, she said that the majority of her clients are still men. And so it's one of those things, I think, but I love all the push because I don't think guys care too much. I think we'll do I don't think it's a massive thing to stop men, but it's a really good thing to get the attention of women. So it's,
and for us this is more of with a launch campaign, for instance, you will have various messaging that will be specifically for your segments, and one of our segments are women, so there'll be messaging for that. There'll be much more gender neutral marketing and websites, and if you look at the app itself, it's not pink. It's not in any way targeted.
Your son would hate it.
It's
then.
They couldn't give a crap about blue. It's actually blue-ish. The app.
I don't like it, Mum.
Yes. It's absolutely not at all something which is meant just for women. I would hate to cut out 50% of my potential target market, but given that it has the ability to make the biggest difference to women, it's a very important part of who we are targeting.
I've got no doubt that any push in the direction of women is great for the industry as a whole. Even financial advice, it's becoming. There's definitely arguments to say that women make the best financial planners.
Is it?
Yeah, definitely, because because financial planning is very much associated around interconnected. One person creating a relationship with another, talking about their life purpose and
asking
dreams,
questions and
absolutely, and then the investments sort of taking care of themselves in the background. It's been a big sort of change in financial advice over the last few years, and it's still going through a massive change. I don't think it'll ever become sort of gendered one way or the other. I think we'll probably just get it to a point where sort of the way that maybe will end up happening is there'll be like two types of advisors, where one is more psychologically based and the other is more analytically based. Whether that breaks off into genders, who knows? But look, I think finance is becoming far deeper and richer and focused on the outcomes that people want, which is really where financial advice is headed as well. So for you to come in and share your experiences with the direction and the evolution of advice and finance in general, it's been fantastic.
Oh, it's been my pleasure.
Thank you so much. And really appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, I'll have to come back when we launch and let you know how we go.
Yes, that's well. I mean, a lot of people that listen to this podcast are younger advisors as well who launch their own businesses, and in our Facebook group, which is pretty popular. When someone starts a business, it's always a really big thing. So I think whenever someone's launching something, sort of any advice that you could share as well is super.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure I'll have a lot of that.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Cheers.
It's been a pleasure.
Bye.
Bye.